Drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em. If he reach, then I'll pop 'em. Street sweeper, I'll wash 'em. Homicide, come and chalk 'em. Drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is who is the best light heavyweight in the world? Is it Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev? So Dmitry Bivol beat Gilberto Ramirez last night. And so we're going to discuss based on that performance and what we've seen and them potentially meeting for Undisputed, who we think is the best in the light heavyweight division. Oh, yeah, and you can give your reaction to the fight with Ramirez as well. I'm going to turn over to Trill Dollar Bill.
This is so crazy that we're talking about it because I was getting hit up like crazy the last couple of days when everybody was asking me the same exact question. They're saying, Trill, who do you think is the better fighter between Bivol and Beterbiev? And at first I was like, you know what? I would like to go with the guy. I did a little homework, so let's get into it. Okay,
let's go.
According to Ring Magazine, right, on the pound for pound list, they got Bivol at number 4, and he's the WBA champ. And then at number 10, they have Beterbiev, who is the WBC and the IBF and the WBO champ. See, so most times, like in this scenario, and you look at, he's been knocking out everybody, Beterbiev has. If you look at that, I usually would go with the guy who got the most medals, right? But then I dived into it a little bit more, and I looked at Beterbiev's, best notable wins against Alexander. I can't pronounce his last name, but he ended up stopping him. Joe Smith Jr., where he ended up stopping him too, and the Marcus Brown, which he ended up stopping too. Those were his best wins. But then if you look at Bivol's best wins, you have the one he just had last night, and you have the one from with many people, including myself, over the pound for pound, who at the time was the pound for pound number 1 fighter in the sport, Canelo Alvarez. He has that one victory. But then you didn't go back to Ring Magazine once again. And if you look at them, they still have Bivol picked number 1 over Beterbiev, who is at number 2 at light heavyweight, right? So I'm thinking that they're basically going off a resume and who had the best and better fighters. And, you got Sullivan and the Joe Smith Jr. They both have Joe Smith Jr. Beterbiev did knock him out. But then you got Gilbert Ramirez, who was an undefeated fighter, who was once champion before, 2-time champion before. And then you also have Saul Canelo. So if you're going by resumes and who has the most impressive wins, then a lot of people might go with the light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. But Artur Beterbiev is a dangerous fighter. And if they ever clash, I think, But right now, if you're going to go by most impressive wins, you would have to go with Dmitry Bivol. But more medals and why he go by dismantling his opponents as happens to be Beterbiev. So, if we have to go by a resume, I have to pick. I have to agree with Ring Magazine and put Bivol over Artur Beterbiev. But if they was fighting, my prediction would be surprising to most.
All right, Conspiracy.
Oh, surprising to most. I thought you was going to answer. You going to keep that for later on?
Keep him.
All right, cool.
Holding that. I'm holding that, G. I follow the bouncing ball, G.
All right.
Next year, I'm going to let y'all know.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this. The best light heavyweight to me is actually Artur Beterbiev. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm saying this is because this fight is almost reminiscent of like a heavyweight, like a light heavyweight version of George Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Bivol is Joseph Parker. Beterbiev is George Joyce. Artur Beterbiev, I said Beterbiev. I'm listening to Trill. Beterbiev, you know what I mean? Like, he's stiff, yes. But the dude's power is out of this world, especially for that division.
I call him Beterbiev.
Yeah, call him Beterbiev. I used to say it until I see they were like Beterbiev, and I was like, oh, all right.
No, it is, it's not intentional.
Hey,
It's just the way it is.
you know how we do.
You know how we get down, man.
Hey,
We try. At least we try to say the name out of respect. We don't.
Exactly.
We try not to avoid the name.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't say your name, then that should tell you something about yourself. You know what I mean? But I just feel like, to me, I'm not even impressed by either dude's resume. Like, yeah, Bivol fought Canelo, but Canelo's like a undersized light heavyweight, so it doesn't even matter all his accolades in the lighter divisions. We talking about big boys at this point. You know what I mean? So, like, when I see these guys like in the ring, like how they absorb punches, how they deliver punches, like, to me, Bivol is fundamentally more sound. But I don't think Bivol could take the type of punishment that Beterbiev would dish out. So that's why my money is more leaning on Artur Beterbiev. And I think when he fights Anthony Yard, it'll showcase that. You know, Anthony Yard, he's more defensively sound than Artur Beterbiev, but it doesn't matter about all that defensive skill that he has. Once he gets hit, let's see how he could take that punch. That was the same thing with Joseph Parker and Joe Joyce. Joseph Parker's faster. You know, like, he's supposed to be stronger with the punches, this, that, and the third. And what happened? We seen a guy with a sturdier chin, with heavier hands, just beat him, like pummel him to death. You know, I think that's the same thing that's going to be displayed in this fight. Bivol's tough. Yeah, like, we've seen how he handles punches. He could take those type of punches. But there's levels to punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and I'm just gonna say this, and I know guys are gonna hate on me, but it's like, if AJ throws a right hand versus if Wilder threw a right hand. Yeah, they both punch hard, but Wilder punches that right hand a little harder. You know, Artur Beterbiev, this dude fights like he has two hammers in his hands, man. You know what I mean? So I need to see how Bivol responds to a guy that punches that lethal. And if he can survive that, Bivol is definitely by far the best light heavyweight. I just don't see it. So my money's on that Canadian killer, Artur Beterbiev.
TV.
Man, yo, I'm gonna just say this now. Like, I like Bivol, but I still feel like he didn't show his true strengths against Canelo. And last night, the fight was all right, but it wasn't like an astonishing performance where it's like, oh, he beat somebody that was good. But I feel Beterbiev is the killer out here. And like, when they face off, like, now after that last fight with Bivol, these two gotta face off, and I want to see it. And as the light heavyweight division, we need somebody who's like, I just hear feedback. We need somebody who's top 10. We need that dog. We need that killer. And Beterbiev, I ain't seen nothing from him that shows me he's a slouch. He's easy. He can't hang. He can't do what he got to do. And Bivol, his best fight was Canelo. And from going off of that, it showed me Canelo could beat him, but Canelo didn't win. And I just feel Beterbiev. Listen, it showed me Canelo can beat him, but Canelo didn't win because Canelo used the wrong strategy. I said this once, and I say it again. Canelo used the wrong strategy against Bivol. But let's go ahead. I'm not hating on Bivol because he's talented. He's a good light heavyweight fighter. But Beterbiev is a different animal. I don't even think Canelo could be Beterbiev. I just feel that Beterbiev is a different animal. He's just like, he gets in the ring and he fights. He don't care where you come from, what style you have. He's gonna dominate the ring. He's gonna cut off corners. He's gonna do what he has to do, and he's gonna let himself be known. His presence gonna be felt when you're fighting him. That's
what. So I watched Dmitry Bivol last night, and I thought he put on a solid performance. It wasn't what I would call a masterclass, but it was solid. He definitely won convincingly. And then you move on to the next fight with Dmitry Bivol. And if they were to have a fight for undisputed Artur Beterbiev, how do I see that fight going? Like Trill said, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But who do I think should be ranked number one? To me, I do think that Bivol beating Canelo is a big win for him. But I think there needs to be perspective Canelo was moving up in weight. He was moving up in weight after high activity. Remember, he had become undisputed in 168 in a year. So in a year, and I think he had 4 fights in a year. Then he moved up to fight Dmitry Bivol, and he looked tired physically. And I've always had this discussion with everyone. Like I've always said, you got to rest, even when you don't feel like it, because at some point your body is just going to let you know that you've had enough. And I feel like that happened to Canelo in the Beterbiev fight. He was going his usual pace, and then he just hit that wall. What you say, G?
You said Beterbiev, but you meant Bivol.
I mean, yeah, Bivol. My bad. Yeah, he was fighting Bivol, and I feel like he just hit that wall, and I felt like towards the end of the fight, that's when Bivol started to separate. I think a lot of that was fatigue, wear and tear, not allowing his body to recover. And what have you heard about Canelo Alvarez? He just had surgery on his hand after the fight with Triple G. I've always said this. Go back, check the tapes. If you don't rest, your body's going to make you rest. You understand? And that's what ended up happening with Canelo. He ended up looking like he faded towards the end of the fight with Bivol, and the wear and tear from punching. Like, think about it. It's not just 4 fights in a year. It's 4 training camps in a year. And now, if you've ever boxed before, you don't understand. Well, if you've never boxed before, you don't understand what goes into a camp. You don't understand how many times you're putting your hand up against a punching bag, up against the focus mitts, up against the speed bag, right? You're hitting, and then in sparring, you're hitting people. You're basically punching your hands against stuff all the time, in addition to taking physical punishment. He did 4 camps. That's countless punches on the punching bag, countless punches on focus mitts, countless punches on speed bag, countless punches you're throwing during sparring, in addition to the punches you're taking from sparring and from the fights. What that does to your body. That's a lot of wear and tear in your body. People don't understand that. And there's a reason why fighters don't fight 4 times a year. There's a reason why recovery is important. And Canelo Alvarez chose to fight 4 times in 1 year, not just anyone, champions, to become undisputed. So I put that in perspective to say I give him credit for Canelo. But one, we had a guy who was coming up in weight and a guy who I feel like was physically exhausted. And I pointed out the ways in which I feel like his body told him, like, bro, I'm gonna sideline you until you get the proper rest you need. So now he can't fight for a while. He just got to rest. So that's Canelo Alvarez. And Troy, you named Gilberto Ramirez, but what's Gilberto Ramirez record really like? Like, who is he really beating when you break down his resume? Like, yeah, he was undefeated, but he fought a lot of gimmies. So
yeah, I mean his best win was I believe well, everybody got Sullivan on their record, but
Sullivan Barrera.
Yeah, everybody got them a win over him. And I mean, Jesse Hart, you know what I'm saying? Those was his best victories. Not
those are solid guys, but they're not world beaters, and exactly. That's the point I'm making. So, but I think when you look at Artur Beterbiev, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, just off the top of my head, he won all his fights. He won by knockout, right?
Knockout. He's stopping them all.
100% KO ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leave him alone.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, to me, that's impressive. That's more impressive than what Beterbiev has done to knock out Marcus Brown, to knock out Joe Smith. And Beterbiev didn't even knock out Joe Smith, if I recall.
No, he didn't. Bivol didn't knock out Joe Smith. Yeah.
So I keep mixing the name up. Yeah, keep mixing the name up. Yeah, Bivol got a decision. Beterbiev knocked him out. So Beterbiev is knocking out guys even Bivol couldn't knock out. 100% KO ratio. And he's done it to some pretty good, solid fighters. So to me, I would rate Artur Beterbiev number 1 because I feel like what he's doing is the most unique in the sport. He has 100% KO ratio against solid opponents. He has more hardware, and if we're being real, like Bivol's claim to fame is that he beat a smaller man who fought 4 fights in 1 year, 4 training camps in 1 year. Do you know?
And that's why he's number one everywhere. The hate for Canelo is for being, to be the greatest. Is they view Canelo to be such a force, so that the fact that him beating him trumps all.
Yeah,
but look at it. They're not looking at it. They don't look at the logic. You made great logic. Nobody is looking at that at all. Nobody will ever mention everything that you just said. Nobody will never mention that when they talk about the fight that happened with Bivol. They're like, ha ha, Canelo lost.
Let's dive into that real quick though, bro. Also, because we just saw and we were present when Caleb Plant knocked out Anthony Durrell. That's a guy Canelo beat for undisputed. We've just seen Callum Smith have 2 impressive victories at 175. That's a guy Canelo beat to collect the belts. And Billy Joe Saunders, a lot of y'all was telling me he was that dude. A lot of y'all were picking him to beat Canelo, and Canelo beat him. If we could at least agree on something, was that Canelo fought a high level of opposition back to back to become undisputed at 168, and then immediately took on another great challenge at 175. And then the proof is in the pudding, right? This isn't like some fighters who became undisputed and the guys they beat are retired or then end up getting like 2 L's. I'm not going to name the person, but you probably already figured out who I'm talking about because I'm speaking facts, and then going to call me a hater for speaking those facts, but facts are facts, right? The guys who Canelo beat are still out fighting and doing well, with the exception of one, Billy Joe Saunders. So I say all that to say, like, you can't inherit Canelo's greatness because you beat him when he was attempting to be great. Go ahead, G.
And also, look at Canelo like how we would look at Usyk, right? When Usyk got to heavyweight, imagine if he lost to the dude that owned the car wash. Right?
Witherspoon.
Yeah, Witherspoon, right? You'd be like, was he really that good? Right? But as he went through Witherspoon, then Chisora, then AJ, we're like, yo, he's a legitimate heavyweight. We don't see the same for Canelo at light heavyweight. You don't go, Canelo's a legitimate light heavyweight. You just go, all right, he fought Kovalev back in the days, and then he's
not a legitimate 168 pounder.
But no, he is a legitimate 168 pounder because
Canelo's small.
Canelo 175.
He's small for 160. You look at those guys. He's small.
No, I agree with you. Like, Canelo should be at 160, right? But now let's fast forward to 175. We're trying to give Bivol a victory over Canelo when we know Canelo's supposed to be at 168 max. He moves up because he wants to challenge himself, and then you beat the smaller guy, and that's supposed to be like,
hey, listen, y'all preaching to the choir. Y'all saying everything that I said after he lost that fight. Huh? Y'all said everything I said after he lost the fight.
No, but I think it's a great point, G. If Chisora would have beat Usyk, we wouldn't have looked at Chisora like, yo, exactly. You're a great heavyweight now, because we know what Chisora did when he faced all the other top elite heavyweights. It would have just been the weight was too much for Usyk, right? That's what it would have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Usyk won, so kudos to Usyk.
We all got restrictions.
That's like, Canelo goes up.
Yeah, it's just not fair. You know what I mean? Like, Lomachenko's a perfect example. I'll be damned if I see Loma go up to 140, bro. He's too small. If anything, he should be at 130. If Loma goes up to 140, he's going to get annihilated, bro. Loma's too undersized.
Loma looks small for 135.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm like, you can't give Bivol credit for beating up on a smaller guy. Like, I don't know. It's just, come on, man. That's kind of crazy. Everybody in the light heavyweight division is like 6 feet to like 6'2". Canelo's like what 5'9"? You fight a dude 5'9" in a division where he's tall. 5'8". You see what I'm saying?
No,
Like
he listed at 5'8". How tall he really is.
Yo,
He
Bivol,
really 5'6".
That's
you know?
what it could be.
I don't like
It could
that.
be
I don't
that.
like that. It's like,
He
yo,
had
bro,
on shoes that day. You know them high boots they
He
had
had on the Tank
that
Davises. He
episode?
had on the Tank
he got
Davises.
on the tanks. He got on the tanks. Yeah.
No, but I agree with that, and that's why for me, I'm not rating Bivol as high because he beat Canelo. To me, you got to beat a legitimate 175-pounder, and that guy is Artur Beterbiev. And I'll close with this: Ring Magazine could be doing this because Ring Magazine is owned by Oscar De La Hoya, and Oscar De La Hoya has shown to be petty at times. And Bivol beat Canelo, the man who left him, went to court to break his contract, and then signed with Eddie Hearn. So it could just be a little bit of, Oscar showing love to Bivol for stopping Canelo or not stopping Canelo, but beating Canelo and putting a little pause on his hype. You know what I mean?
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.